All right, hello everyone. You're listening to Lipstick and Leather, and on the phone with me today is Mr. Wild Mick Brown himself. How's the day treating you?
The day is wonderful. I'm in sunny Arizona, and it is sunny, and it's just incredible, the weather here. This is why I live here. And I'm not sure where you're at, Ryan. Where are you?
I'm in Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada, northern Canada, and we've had snow already.
I would figure that, yeah. Okay, well, I'm not bragging, but I'm sure you enjoy it there just as much as I enjoy Arizona.
Maybe in some different ways. The no snow and the warmth sounds good, though.
It does. It is nice.
All right, now with the TNN album coming out, does the band plan to tour or shoot any videos?
Well, originally we had planned to be touring the 1st of November and do about 6 or 8 weeks of touring, but uh, as it came closer to doing that, the people who were working with us said, "Listen, this is coming together too quick. We're really not prepared to have you put this thing all together." So we put the brakes on it. So right now there is no plans to tour, but at some point there is going to be. I don't know when, but I'm thinking it's going to be maybe. I hate to say it, but it might be as long as another year. Due to everybody's schedule, because Jeff Pilson plays bass with Foreigner, and his schedule's pretty full. And then I play drums with Ted Nugent for 4 or 5 months of the year, and then Dokken at the other times. And so to work in those schedules, it might be a little bit because everybody's schedule is going to start picking up here again. And so this open window of that we had to tour, it looks like it's going to shut. But at some point, hopefully there'll be this band TNN that can go out and tour these songs. And I think it'd be a lot of fun to have anytime we go into a town that where the guest singers who've sang on it, would be nice to have them show up and sing their songs.
That's a terrific idea.
I think that'd be great.
Now, you sang on the demo of When Heaven Comes Down and the re-recording of the song slated to appear on the upcoming TNN second CD. Did you do any more singing on the TNN second CD?
I think that was the only thing I sang late on, and then Jeff and I just did all the vocals on all the background stuff.
Right.
So, to talk about what you're talking about, there's going to be a part 2. The first TNN, I think, gets released here on Halloween, on the 31st, coming up in a few days. And at some point then down the road, there's going to be, because there's already like 7 other songs, Dokken songs, that are recorded. I think there's still some room for a few singers to show up and sing. So who knows? Maybe Don Dokken will even make an appearance. You never know. I mean, I asked him at one point, the guy said, "Listen, you're playing with him. Why don't you ask him if he'll, because these are his songs too.
Right.
Why don't you, see if he did?" I thought he would jump at the chance to do it, and he really didn't have much interest. He said, "No, I'm not really interested in doing it, and go ahead, And I said, "Okay, because there's going to be a lot of singers going to show up. They're all waiting in line to do this, and you should have the first shot at it." And he just didn't really seem interested. I was a little bit surprised at that, but maybe he didn't feel good about it at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? It's a funny mess. I mean, I hate to say I don't know what's going on, but I did come in halfway through this project. Brian Tishy, the drummer, who's what band isn't he in? I think he's in Foreigner at the moment. I don't even know. The guy, he changes bands like I change socks, but he's the Whitesnake drummer too. Him and George and Jeff did 5 songs, or I think on this first CD here, maybe more than 5 songs, I'm not sure. And, they did a wonderful job, but he's the one that basically said, "Why don't you finish this up with like bonus stuff with the Dokken material, have, Mick come in and you guys play it because you're Dokken, and see if you can get Dawn to do it. And if not, well, then have some guest singers." So it was his idea basically. So, a lot of it, I'm in the dark about a lot in the first half of it, actually, other than I know that they played together and wrote these songs and recorded them. But, so a lot of it gets done, and then Jeff goes, "Oh, by the way, someone showed up today and sang, I didn't know like Sebastian Bach was going to do it." He told me, "Oh yeah, Sebastian's here now, and he's recording alone again." I thought, "Oh, well, that's just wonderful," And then I heard Doug Pennick's tooth and nail version, which I think is just a home run. I think the guy just did an amazing job.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool that, you know, some voices just work so well with our music, and to hear him do that style in that song, it's just wow. You know, it's so fun for us to hear a different singer on these songs. You know.
Absolutely. Now, you've played on every Dokken album except Broken Bones. What's your current status in Dokken?
Well, I'm in the band when I'm not touring with Ted, but Dokken is not, and I wish they would have waited for me to do this record, because Don swears it's going to be the last Dokken record recorded. And I thought, well, God, I sure want to be part of that. And then they just couldn't wait, because I was currently touring with Ted, and said, we got to get this done. So, you know, Brian Tishy played the drums on it. And there was another Dokken record, too. I can't remember the name of it. Isn't that terrible? Tommy Clefetos played drums on.
I believe Lightning Strikes Again played on a bit.
Tommy Clefetos played on that, and I played, but I did end up, you know, appearing on a few tracks. Was lucky enough to get off the road and come and finish and do a couple songs. So at least I was part of it. But I mean, it's like what you were asking. I'm still a current member of Dokken. Like I said, they just use me when they can. Right now, they're in downtime. John Levin's going through some surgery on his shoulder, and he's going to be down for about 4 months, which is really odd, because their record, their Broken Bones, comes out today, I think, in America, and being released today, and there's not going to be tour support for it for a while. And then I thought it was funny that TNN, this project comes out in 5 days, on the 31st, 5 or 6 days from now, and also no band touring. Right. So everyone was getting involved as part of like, oh, these guys are kind of odd. They got all these projects, but they don't support it with a band. You know? I feel kind of bad about that, actually.
I believe it was Jimmy DeGrasso that just played on Broken Bones.
I don't think he played on any of the music on that.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure it's all Brian Tishy.
Interesting. Okay.
But you know, I could be wrong. But the guys had never mentioned that he just toured with them in the summer when I was out with Ted. He was the replacement drummer for me through the summer tour. But I think Brian played all the music. I remember asking the guys, well, did you get somebody? He said, yeah, Brian did it already. I said, did it already? And they said, yeah, he recorded it at his house in 2 days. Brian's got a really great setup at his place, and apparently he can just pump these songs out. And he did it in a couple of days, so they were really pleased to have that done. So they didn't mention that Jimmy had played on anything. And, you know, they were dying to have me. Don goes, at least I want you to show up and play percussion or sing or something. I'm like, well, you know, I'm trying. But, I mean, when my schedule, you know, it just did not work out. And I didn't make – I feel bad. Not one appearance at all. You know? But yet my picture is in there, and I'm in the video, you know.
Yes. And
well, you know, thank God I'm in something, you know. I mean, that was not kind of the guys to keep me involved in that aspect, you know, because people do identify me as the Dokken drummer, you know.
Absolutely.
So it was nice to be able to make some kind of an appearance,
now,
even if it wasn't me playing.
For sure. Now, do you plan to play on a studio album by Ted Nugent down the road? Well,
I'm sure, you know, I missed out on a Ted Nugent recording that Tommy Clefetos. One year, Ted said, "Listen, we're going to do a new record. Can you do it?" And I said, "Well, when is it?" And he said, "It's going to be in a couple of weeks." I said, "Well, you know, Ted, I'm in the middle of a Dokken record, and I'm committed to this." He goes, "Oh, I understand." So then he got Tommy Clefetos to play it. So I missed out on the one Ted Nugent record, and then when Dokken never, during that time I was missing the Ted Nugent album, Dokken never finished their record. I went on tour with Ted Nugent and gone home Tommy Clefetos to do the Dokken record. So I'm like, God, I got burned out of 2 things, and this guy scored, you know? So, listen, if Ted's got another album coming up, yeah, there is talk about doing it, but, you know, I haven't heard and seen the material yet or anything, so... But at some point right now, I think being that Derek St. Holmes is back in the band and Ted Nugent's band, he's going to want to do a recording with this current lineup. So I got a feeling there'll be something coming up.
Very cool.
Yeah, I'd love to be immortal other than on live stuff and DVDs and things with him, playing on some new material. That'd be really nice.
Definitely. Now,
Yeah, nothing would suit me finer than 'cause I'm a little tickled pink about playing with Ted, and I know this is all about TNN today, but I mean I can't help but say, hey, I'm playing with Ted Nugent. It's phenomenal, and that be have a little piece of history notched out with some music that you played with him on there would be really something for me to have.
absolutely. I love the DVD you're on. That's cool you're on there.
Yeah, I love the Motor City Mayhem DVDs. I think a good one. There's a new there might be a new one coming out from that HD Net special that we did last year. So we'll see what's up. Anyway, back to TNN.
Now, I've always thought you had a great singing voice on Tooth and Nail from One Night Live, Mary Goes Round, and Lies, and obviously a terrific drummer. What about a Mick Brown solo album?
Well, I've considered that. I have some material that lays around. Schedules don't really work out. I tried to start doing that here in Arizona with a guy who has some recording things at his home. I thought maybe I can just pull this off, to get all my get it all sort of started here, and it just never worked out. It always took too much time, and I'm a little too serious for the guy who was recording it. He's like, hey, I got a job. I got to get up in the morning. I'm like, oh, come on. Can't we just do this? My whole life was, I expected him to drop his life just so he could record. But listen, you never know. I'm not, it's nothing I need to have to do, but I mean, if it comes together, that could be a possibility. Maybe, what I'd really be more interested in doing is putting, I'd like to figure out ways to do several songs, maybe 3-4 songs, and put out some kind of an extended play thing, just something like some teasers, and see how that goes, We'll see.
Absolutely.
And if not, the material I have at some point, maybe Jeff and George are going to go, listen, we need some other material for this part 2 of TNN or something. Maybe I'll be able to bring material into that. I mean, the choruses I have are there, and I know what the guys like, and they just need some buttoning up, and it would be nice to collaborate, with somebody.
Definitely. With your energetic personality, if you ever had some downtime, would you consider acting or maybe comedy? And have you ever?
Well, comedy, I love the whole idea of that. I think that's funny as hell. In a professional sense, I don't really know. Acting, that's pretty tricky stuff. That's a lot of waiting. That's high pressure. I think that'd be pretty. If they had someone guide you on a smaller scale where it wasn't, because like the bass player in Dokken, Sean McNabb, he's an actor. Mm-hmm. He's like a reoccurring extra on Sons of Anarchy. He's on all those shows. This is his second season on that.
Right.
And, he's done some movie things, and so I tickle him a lot, I pick his brain and tickle his idea, like what's going on, and he tells me, and it frightens me, it's like, oh my God, that's a lot of high pressure, But I mean, he studies it, goes to schools for it, he's dedicated very much to it, and I really admire that he can do both, Doc, and be a musician that he is, and I said, what do you consider yourself, an actor or a musician? He goes, oh, definitely, I'm a musician, but I got a funny feeling his acting career is going to open up at some point because, he's really put a lot of time and effort into it. And it takes years, to find the right people and get locked into it. But he's really got good credentials, so that's for him,
For sure. You got along great with Steven Tyler on the back for the Attack tour. Do you guys stay in touch?
No, we've never stayed in touch since then. It was a fun time. I remember he used to. When we used to hang around a lot for some reason in the daytime at the venue, and they were there too. I don't know why. I guess we were all sound checking in those days. And he used to, anytime he'd see me, he'd just run over and he'd jump up and hop on my back. And the guy weighs like 98 pounds soaking wet. So he really didn't notice that he was there. He wasn't like, and he'd always jump on me, go, take me over there. See those girls? Let's go over there. And I'd be like, what am I, your train? And he just rocked around on my back. I would just be cracking. Take me over there. Let's go. Oh, you're not going to eat that, are you? I'm like, get off my back. Oh, come on, give me a ride. He said, come on, I'm old, man. Give me a ride. I thought he was just a fun guy. I really enjoyed his personality. And, oh, God, some of the stories he told us, and it was just something else.
For sure.
It was a thrilling moment to be that close to these, because when I was 14, they were Aerosmith, man, and I was like, wow, and then here we are, and he's riding around on my back. I'm like, well, you never know what the world's going to throw you. Or, at one point I played with Ronnie Montrose before he passed away, and I was just thrilled to death because when I was 16 years old, those records were just and to play with him on those songs, and he gave me such a compliment. He said, Mick, you're one of my favorite drummers I've ever played with. I was like, God, these guys he's played with, to be part of that, the legacy of drummers who played with him. I was like, wow, it was really a thrill for me. I was really upset when he committed suicide, but and I never saw that coming. And my younger brother ended up replacing me as a drummer in Montrose during that period, and he got very close to him too, and we were both a little upset about it. But hey, things happen.
Definitely.
At least he left us with some great music.
That's very true.
And great memories too. I mean, I'll never forget that I got to play with that guy. It was really wonderful.
Mm-hmm. On the topic of your brother Steve Brown, has he ever been asked to fill in for Dokken on times when you weren't able to?
I have pushed him so many times, because at the beginning when I first started playing with Ted, these guys were lost for what to do with a drummer. I said, "Well, see, this guy's out there, And I said, "Try my brother." Anytime they got in a fix, I'd always say, "Use my brother because he's really good." For some reason, Don is paranoid of my. I don't know what it is. He's got a paranoia that we're teaming up against him or something. And I'm like, he's just a great drummer, and he plays with. God, he's done Tesla records. He's done, he's playing on so many records. He's got he's got tons of credentials, and they just never used him. Don just doesn't. He goes, "No, I'm just not into seeing your brother at the drummer." I'm like, okay, whatever. But hey, listen, it's the game ain't over yet, so you never know.
That's true.
But I never could understand why they didn't decide to use him. Because I think he plays and sings. We're so similar, He plays as good or better than me, and he's a wonderful singer too. So he could have fell right into it very easy. And I told him, be prepared, and so he was ready to go. And they never want to give him the call. So whatever.
I'm sure some of the audience would think it was you. Anyways, you guys look similar too.
Yeah, I mean, they could have made it real easy on themselves, but nope.
Now, Mickey Hart from the Grateful Dead was your original drum teacher. Has he contacted you since you made it successful?
You know what? There's another guy. When I took drum lessons on my 8th birthday. I took my first drum lesson, and for 2 years I took drum lessons. He was my drum teacher. Him and his father had a drum store in the South San Francisco type area, and I remember we came. We started seeing a lot of recording gear showing up in his store, and we were like, "What?" He goes, "Oh, I'm sort of tickling this idea in this band," and he wouldn't really say much about it. And then I remember my dad drove me to one of my one of the teachings, and there was a sign on the door. "Join Grateful Dead, closed." And I never saw him after that. Never ran into the guy.
Huh. Back in 1998, while in Dokken, you played on a 3-song Lynch Mob demo CD that got released. Were you considering doing double duty for Lynch Mob and Dokken back in 98?
Well, I don't remember that there was both going on at one time.
It was called Synergy, I believe. Into the Light, All Things Must Pass, and Waterfall on it.
Oh, you know what? I barely remember that. I think I played on a couple of those songs. No, you know what? I think George just asked me if I would play. I think I know what you're talking about. So I think I played on a few of those songs. At the moment, I don't remember that there was any band. I don't think there was a Dokken or a Lynch Mob. So that's probably why I did it. I said, yeah, I'll play. And listen, I would have considered doing double duty, and had there been that opportunity, but apparently there must not have been.
Looking back, 21.
You know what? I think that with the recording that you're talking about was could have been right before Dokken got back together in '90. Oh no, this was later.
I
Than
think
that,
it was
huh?
just before Race of Slate. I think John Norm was still playing, and then Reb just kind of joined within the next 6 months around that range.
Okay, so there must have been a little downtime there where George just called me up and said, "Listen, help me out with some songs." And okay, so there was probably not much going on. I mean, Dokken was probably just waiting to change members or whatever.
Hmm. Looking back 21 years after the release of the second Lynch Mob album, what do you think of it at this point?
The second Lynch Mob album,
Yes.
I think there's a few. Okay, as far as the recording goes, it's too slick for me. Slick meaning it's just kind of watered down. I loved the first Wicked Sensation. I think it was an incredible album with the sounds and the material. I think that had I like Tangled in the Web. I like what's it called? Dream Until Tomorrow. I think is what. I think great performances by Robert Mason. I don't think George. I love No Good on that album.
Yes.
I think that came out cool. I would like to hear some different sounds, and I would like to have seen George stretch his feet in a couple different areas. And I don't know why that didn't happen, but I mean, listen, it's a fine record. It's just not between the two. The two that I played on anyway. I think Wicked Sensation is definitely the key album.
Definitely.
I would have liked to have seen that band do another out, with those same members go on further. But business, sometimes musicians aren't the greatest with business. And and we are the kings of, I think we wrote the book on that one. And so that band didn't go any further with those members. And that's a shame because I really would have liked to see what, and Robert and I live in the same town here in Phoenix.
Okay.
And we talk, and he still feels there's some unfinished business, that he'd like to do with George and myself, either in a Lynch Mob or a Dokken kind of situation. That's why he jumped at the chance to do the TNN project and sing on that. He wants to. He really enjoys playing with George and I. And at some point, I would love to see, that version of a Lynch Mob come back together.
For sure, and he sounds phenomenal, and it's not Love.
Yeah, he did. He did a great job on that, And Doug Pinnick, the bass player and singer for King's X, wow. To hear that song Tooth and Nail with his style on there, it's just like hearing a new band play. When I listen to it, it's like, to me, it's like listening to a band who recorded it with him singing. It blows my mind. I love what he did with it. Just phenomenal. And then, like songs like Alone Again with Sebastian Bach. Sebastian came in and said, you know what, I'm not going to, because we let all these singers, like, here's the song. Take what, we want to keep some integrity of it, but do it, we're open to anything. Do what you want with it, but the words are these, and here's the format, basically. And he came in and said, listen, I like the song. I've always liked that song. I don't see any reason to do much to it other than just sing it,
Mm-hmm.
So his performance stayed pretty true, to the original recording, which is quite a compliment to what Don had done,
Definitely. Did your glitter rock band Sergeant Rocks ever record any material?
How come what?
Did your glitter rock band Sergeant Rocks, did you guys ever record any original material?
Sergeant Rocks, no, never recorded any original material. It was a pretty young band, and back then people didn't have any of that. The technology wasn't there for any home recordings. It was all just tape junk. And the band never really got, I don't even think we did a show. We were just together. Well, we were only together for a short time, but we were so threatening to other bands because some of our pictures that we did a lot of photo taking back then. And we were so glammed out that we just scared the hell out of everybody else. They were like, oh my God. And our reputation preceded the band quite a bit. And I remember when George joined in, there was a fire. All of our gear got burned up in a fire at the guitar player's house, which he actually lived with his mother there. And her insurance covered everything, so we ended up getting all this great brand new spanking gear. And as soon as we did, George and I left to start our own band. So I don't think I ever once played with Sergeant Rocks at all.
Now, you sang on the Boys demo tape. Would you ever consider self-releasing this for diehards maybe at some point?
I wouldn't. I think George has. I think George went behind our backs and got his hands on some of that stuff and sold it some places, and I'm not sure where. But no, I wouldn't consider doing that. I don't think that's interesting to anybody. I mean, it might be interesting to somebody, but I'm not really, proud of it was the first recording probably I'd ever done. And I don't think, I think there's probably some, if you were to ask John Lennon, what about you? He probably wouldn't want anyone to hear that either. So there you go.
For Shadow Life, before Kelly Gray got involved, a lot of the songs had different choruses. They were darker, and there was a three-piece harmony on Sky Beneath My Feet. Do you think fans would have been a bit more accepting of Shadow Life before Kelly entered the project if it was released?
I'm surprised. Well, to me, that's my favorite Dokken album. I think that's, most of our fans think of Dokken, they only can go back to those 80s MTV video Dokken days, where I think Dokken made these great records that no one knows about after that. The one with Reb Beach, Race of Slate, it's phenomenal record.
Absolutely.
I think it's beautiful, but no one knows it, And the one we're talking about, Shadow Life, that's actually my favorite. I think that's got the most feel. The further Kelly stroked this far on that one, and everybody played differently and far on it. He got George to play a lot more blues stuff and take chances there. Well, I thought was a great feel. There's lots of material on there. We did a lot. We experimented. Kelly just took us, opened our mind, like, guys, it's a whole new world out here. Don't be Dokken. Be a new Dokken. Try something. Stretch your, what do you got to lose to stretch your feet? And I thought, well, right. And although, it is very much Dokken because the vocals are all there and we sound like that, when the three of us, Jeff and Don and I sing, and it's just the material. We just went a couple of different areas and took some chances, which I thought was really neat. One of the songs, Too High to Fly, I think that's on there. Is it on there?
Dysfunctional. It's on Dysfunctional.
There you go. Never mind. Never mind. I can't remember. But and there's a couple of bonus songs I think that that the Japanese ended up getting. I don't know if you do that in Canada as well.
I have the Japan import of it. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. There's some other songs on there too that don't show up in the American version that I really liked. I was really pleased with that recording, but like I said, at that point, fans weren't paying much attention to us. That was pretty kind of a slow period for Dokken, and it was too bad because it was all the original members, and we were really trying hard. I thought we really did well, but we weren't really good in bed with the record company. We had a lot of, we had pissed a lot of people off with. Bad, the way the band communicated, because there was still internal fighting in the band. It's not like we were still getting along. We just knew how to make music together. But anytime there was communication with the people who were helping us, we alienated them so bad. I think they just sort of said, "Okay, well, we'll step back and we'll let this one go." At some point, they got to make heads or tails of what's what. I think we drove them all nuts. So many times actually.
I fully agree. I love that album and Dysfunctional. I wish they were promoted a bit more, maybe with a video or a couple more singles, because not a whole lot of the Dokken, except the diehards, obviously know really about those albums or have heard them, and they deserve another chance.
That's a shame, because that's the last appearance that George had made, was on Shadow Life with us, and I think that's one of the coolest works he's done. I think he could have, for anybody who just thinks he's just this. Well, until you've heard him play on that, you haven't heard him play everything, which is great about some of the new TNN stuff, because he's open, he's got a lot on the original material, not the Dokken material. He's got originals, where his style is today is really open compared to what people remember him as.
Definitely. Well, thank you very much for the interview, Mick. That's all I have.
Well, listen, Ryan, I want to thank you, and also I'd like to thank anyone and say hello to everyone in Canada for me. Anyone who happened to be a fan and or still is and enjoyed any of the music at any point, we love you for that. And at some point, we hope to run into you all with the TNN band. And keep your ears peeled for part 2. It's coming up at some point, maybe 9 months.